Hi guys, welcome back to Tigre Aitana. My name is Abby and today we're doing the weekly chakra healing video. This time around I am using the Santa Muerte tarot deck, which some of you guys asked me in my last video. I've read the comments, I just have not gotten to respond to them because I've been getting comments from everywhere, both like IG, DMs, emails and stuff, so it's just been kind of hard to catch up with them. So I'm going to try to respond as best I can this week, so stay tuned for that. But I'm going to be using the Santa Muerte tarot deck, which I love. It's a really good deck for working with her as well and getting messages from Santa Muerte. And I did ask her to give me the messages of this week for our chakra healing, and we got a lot of really interesting stuff. The first things first that I did want to talk about, bottom of the deck, which actually came out in the bottom of the deck, was Page of Pentacles and the Lovers. And one of the things I actually wanted to talk about is Venus being in Gemini, and then that happened. So this is actually a really good time, and this is going to be like a theme for this reading, to have having Venus in Gemini, just working verbally manifestations, air magic. A lot of it has to do with your state of mind, working on anxiety, like anti-anxiety spells, anti-depression spells, really working up here, because we're in Gemini season. This is up here work, connected with the divine meditation, and being able to manifest from your mind seamlessly. So there is kind of a need to clean out the gutter. It's like spring cleaning, mental spring cleaning, yay. So that's kind of a little bit of how Venus and Gemini should be properly being used at this time. However, we're going to talk about the energies for this week, and I really picked the Santa Muerte deck also because the moon is going to be in Scorpio this week, right before we have the moon in Sag next week, that I'm actually really excited about. But there is the energy of death. It's kind of been, again, like even from last year, you're still seeing stuff play out from having Jupiter in Scorpio for so long. There's still some things that are playing out this year, like why things needed to die so you can use the Sag energy wherever it is to progress into XYZ. There is a movement that has been underlining everything. So we're gonna start with the root chakra. With it, literally the card that came out was the Seven of Cups in reverse for the root chakra. So this is really about not being clouded, because the Seven of Cups it's a very interesting card. It can be a hot mess. It can be clouded, like you don't know what you want. You're trying to manifest too many things at once. You're trying to be too many things at once. You're trying to really, instead of mastering one of these cups and then moving on to the next challenge, you're just trying to do all of these things. This is like being all over the place, but at the same time, in its own right, it also has to do with dreams, creativity, manifestation, which is what we're talked about. But this is in reverse, which means that this is gonna be something that needs to be worked on this week. Is really about turning this over a little bit and really zoning into one project that we need to work on, even though there are many things that we need to work on. Really giving the time of day to the areas which are calling your attention, especially in the realm of communication, writing, creativity, and feeding those cups, watering those cups, so you are able to grow that dream that it is that you're trying to manifest, that thing that you want to succeed in, achieve in, whatever it is. It's just about really working on yourself, working on your craft. And with the root chakra, it's about solidifying and waiting for it to grow properly, to show root, to show fruit, letting your creativity really be the one feeding your soul, feeding your spirit. So root chakra wise, it's just like a need to not get lost in the sauce. Mutable energy can be very, especially Gemini energy at its lowest vibration, can be very sometimes all of the movable signs, as far as I'm concerned, it can be off-putting to an extent. Pisces, you can just get lost in the sauce. Gemini can also get lost in the sauce, or you can just verbally attack, verbally react to anger, verbally just the communication gets lost. So there's a lot of negative things that could come from sorry sorry, give me 1 second. Okay. Lots of negative things that could come just from being in that space. Even with Virgo, like if you're like going against your health, going against your body, being selfish, just hiding away, like there's negative connotations to every single sign. Even with Sag, if you just out here in the club every single time, like you're not using the energy properly, there's just levels to it. So it's just about mastering that one thing before you can move to the next, grounding yourself in that one thing before you can really, you know, continue on the journey that you're in. So this week really calls for using the gifts you've gotten to get you where you want to go, but just focus, and not every single intention that you've ever wanted needs to manifest right this second. It's just about flowing with it, because with Gemini, and I always say this, especially with all the air signs, you cannot let the air get stagnant. It has to keep circulating in order to be healthy, consistent. It just needs to keep circulating. Air itself, because if you look at actual nature, like oxygen is produced by trees, which is why people plant trees all over the place, so you can breathe cleaner air. And it's interesting how the earth signs affect the air signs in that way, where it's just like, hey, we come back to your grounding. Because if you look at the astrology chart right now, there is just there's been this theme of earth is like underplaying all of the other stuff. Every time the sun moves into another sign, there's still earth grounding there, just kind of hinting at, hey, there's stuff solidifying. It's just that these shifts are happening in the way they are. So it's just about really going with the flow and being open, not letting yourself get crazy loose and just confused and frustrated about it. Now for your sacral space, it's funny because when I saw this, I just kind of saw her just taking everything away. It's really funny. But this is the 9 of Wands, which portrays La Niña Roja just cutting, like this is cutting the weeds in many ways. But there is a need with the sacral space to really look at the traumas that we're still letting take control of ourselves, of our lives this week. And if you need to do in the weekend some healing with that Scorpio moon, by all means. If you need to start the healing today because the moon is in Virgo, by all means. But there is kind of just this need to bring balance and peace, and a great time to do any past life work, any healing, just because moon will also be in Libra this week, so there's a lot of like karmic healing that can be done this week. But it's just about literally taking some of that weight off, which is what the healing in the Akashic Records looks like. But also the things that you already know are holding you back, like not giving them the choice, like cutting that cord, and being stronger for it, like actually doing the thing, not being a victim, not allowing yourself to be a victim, but just coming out of the situation stronger. So that's what the sacral chakra needs this week. It's just a lot of, again, you can't have this chakra blocked, because this is the chakra where we manifest from in this lifetime. So that fertility is there, but you're gonna be like tied and confused and not being able to grow anything from it because you're still holding on to past things. So it's just about letting go. Now for the solar plexus is interesting because we got the Fool for this week, and that's a very interesting card to get, because the Fool starts the tarot journey, but a lot of the time people don't realize that the Fool is also the ending, like what happens after death. It's just like there's a new journey, that energy of death, the ending of something, when something is being transformed to something else, when you're going into a different period. Sorry for the sound, my best friend's watching a movie. Anyway, when you're going into a different period of your life, that is death happening in motion. And so with the Fool in the solar plexus, is talking about your willpower, actually choosing to start this journey, actually choosing to use the energy and not be stagnant during Gemini season, and being able to kind of use the energy for your better benefit rather than working against it this week. Now, for the heart chakra, I asked for one card and I got 4, so we're going to take it. But we got the Sun, the Knight of Wands, the 5 of Swords, and the 2 of Pentacles. And I'm not really surprised because there's usually a story with the heart chakra. We hold a lot of emotions there, so I'm not really surprised. With the Sun being there and this Knight of Wands, this is definitely some ego stuff that's happening when it comes to the heart space, which is really bad because when you're allowing your ego, because your ego is ruled by the solar plexus, which is where it should be, letting your ego to infiltrate your heart chakra leads to this kind of thing because you're just not balanced and you feel like attacked. Basically, you feel attacked, you feel like things are not flowing right, like a partner betrayed you, or like you were above something but then it happened to you anyway. Like there is just like the ego work this week is kind of necessary as far as transforming that and allowing yourself to literally look at yourself in the face and call yourself out for stuff. Also call others out when they have not been at their best with you, because it's a two-way street. That is duality. Because again, it's about the duality. There's a reason the theme in Gemini, like the mutable signs, is a dual thing. Most of them have a dual like symbolism to them, and it's because of this. It's because of this, because they need to flow. They can't be stagnant. They can't be fixed sign, and they can't just rush into things like cardinal signs do. They need to just go with the flow. And it's kind of about that, not letting your ego catch you and kind of create micro traumas for no reason. It's just allowing yourself to heal from situations that maybe there was an imbalance and you knew there was an imbalance, and then it played out in a way to completely utterly show you why there was an imbalance, that it was an imbalance. Like it was just like, hey, you knew this but you did nothing. Like it's just like a lot of kind of coming to the, like, addressing the ego and like just hitting the ego into like a very soft spot. This week, watch your reactions to people, because I can see how some of y'all might want to sting some people with that like Mars Scorpio kind of energy, because y'all know Scorpio has a stinger, and when the moon is in Scorpio, you know, it brings that, not only does it bring up the darkest parts, but it also brings up what we want to do. So it's like if you want to hex somebody or something, like just watch the karma about it. Watch where you're directing your flame, your fire, your willpower, your ego. Watch where you're directing your energy and who you're feeding it to, because if it's not to yourself, then it's just not healthy. And if you have been feeding your ego unhealthily, it's not a word, but we're gonna take it, you're gonna kind of see this week how naive you've been about it. Because that's really like, you're gonna feel personally attacked this week, and it's because you really tried it, you really thought, because while you need to have a healthy ego, you also need to be open and flexible. And again, because I keep saying that, flexible to change, flexible to adapt to different circumstances. And when you feel like you the shit and you always the shit, but you don't allow yourself to be the shit in different levels, then you will get KO'd in different levels because you was not the shit that you thought you were. So it's just about addressing yourself properly and really holding up that mirror. Now for the throat chakra, hilariously, we got the Santa Muerte card, which is right here. And I kind of laughed when I saw this, because I knew this was a reason that I ended up picking this deck to do this. But with the throat chakra, and Mercury is in Cancer, but with the throat chakra, there's really a need to be honest and acknowledge your truth, your self-truth, and speak that out. Because, and again, this goes back to like who we think we is versus who we actually is. It's about self-reflection. It is about unconscious mind meeting the actual conscious minds, being with the throat chakra here. And that when you hold that mirror up to yourself, you have to kind of address certain things about yourself about your life, about what's happening that you might have not expected. And it's not always the easiest thing to do, but it's a necessary truth. And that's kind of what this is hinting at. For those who work with her, definitely ask her to help with guiding you, help with the clarity, help with healing, help whatever it is, help with the trauma, like just releasing any hate, all of these things, because again, at the end of the day, she's also there for you to work with her in that way. So there is the energy of death when it comes to our words, and when it comes to what we say we're gonna do versus what we need to let go and state it, like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna do this, like actually saying it, like the practice of speaking this week, and how some things you can know in your head that needs to be said, and actually saying it, like, hey, okay, you know what, I've been getting the message for a while that I need to let this friend go because they just whatever, or you know what, actually telling someone, hey, you know, you really hurt me when you said this, you really hurt me when you did this to me, like it just felt like you were against me, whatever the case is, just really saying what needs to be said, and really allowing forgiveness and a new chapter to play out, because you took the challenge of speaking death into a situation. Speaking death into a situation is not just, oh, I hope you die. It's not that. It's just about understanding the transitions of life verbally, like actually processing death verbally, mentally, like, okay, I need to stop doing this because this is how it's affecting my body. So this aspect of my mind, of my behavior, needs to die. And it's just about speaking that into existence when it comes to this. Now, with the third eye, we got the Tower, which is interesting because the Tower and the third eye really hint at, like, you knew stuff was coming, you didn't listen to your intuition, and so now you're getting wrecked because it's coming and it's here now. So there is kind of the energy of something playing out that you kept seeing happening, like you kept getting visions of it, you get dreams of it, you got messages from other people, wherever the messages came from, wherever the knowledge and the understanding came from, you received that understanding, and now it's kind of coming with like this, with a vengeance, because now it's actually happening. So this week is just like a lesson, because if you knew it was coming, you could have prepped better. You know what I'm saying? You could have done more. You could have saved yourself a lot of trouble, and you didn't. So here we are now. So this week is a lesson, and this is, again, this is Uranus energy. So it's like, once you get to the upper chakras, it's like, especially in Gemini season, because it's an air sign and because Gemini rules the throat chakra. So it's just a lot of like upper energy. Like, hey, can you connect? Can you meditate? Can you really listen to yourself, listen to your gut, listen to what your guides are trying to tell you? Like, there's reasons for why you keep getting the same messages. There's reasons for all of this. Now, for the crown chakra, we have the Ace of Swords. So at least from this situation, there will be some clarity, a new intention set, hopefully, that comes from this death energy, that actually comes into play, and that you actually can set for yourself. A really good time to work under the Libra moon, just to balance your life out, balance your brain out, balance your like physical body with your spiritual body, and just finding that peace, connecting mentally, speaking the right things into existence. That goes hand in hand with this, and just allowing yourself to manifest your best life. Venus is in Gemini, okay? It's about air magic, okay? It's about speaking things to existence. The negative things that you say are just gonna come back to bite you at this point. And why? Because you either have a healthy ego or you have an unhealthy ego. So which one, where do you want to be? If you're in between, you're going to be lost as fuck, and you're just going to be doing this all day. And that's where you need to really start switching over what it is that you want to do. You either want to be a hot mess, or you want to be more centered to your best self, period. So this is this week's chakra healing video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you in the next video. There's a couple of videos coming, so stay tuned, and we're going to be doing some spell work this week, so stay tuned for that too. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the California vlog as well. And also, we're almost to 1,000 subscribers. I'm so excited. Thank you all for like my new subscribers and everything. I really appreciate it. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed, and I will see you guys in the next video.